Craziest NBA quarantine transformations. Time. It can be a dangerous thing. Having too much time on your hands can lead to a lot of bad places. For professional athletes, too much time can lead to laziness. Careers have been lost because players got an injury and lost sight of it all while being isolated from the team rehabbing alone. It is hard to stay motivated. Players are human after all. How many times have you had all day to get a workout in and you just keep pushing it off until it's too late? This was the fear of the COVID-19 induced quarantine. Some players wouldn't react well to being suddenly on their own with all the time in the world. They'd get out of shape and maybe never recover. This video isn't about them though. Nope. This video is about the people who made the most of the time they suddenly had. They lost the routine of going to the facility, lost the workout of practice or private sessions with an assistant coach. They lost all of that and responded by creating a new routine, a new regimen that was about the workout. They poured themselves into intense, multiple times a day workouts in order to be better than ever when the NBA got going again. In the bubble, some of those players that did this really stood out. Coming up, we'll delve into the NBA's craziest quarantine transformations. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel, like this video, and tell us in the comments who you think transformed the most. No rest for the MVP. Fresh off finally winning a Most Valuable Players award following a multiple second-place finishes, James Harden of the Houston Rockets could have loafed. He had already achieved so much. He won the MVP after averaging an astounding 36.1 points per game, and he had been to 8 straight All-Star games, including the season that was cut off due to COVID-19. He could have relaxed a bit given all of the time off. Instead of relaxing though, Harden worked out like never before. It became an obsession. He decided to do everything he could to be the best he could be in the NBA bubble. He talked to The Athletic about it all back in May, so we actually have a great deal of detail. Harden returned to Phoenix for his quarantine. He started at Arizona State University in college and decided all that intensely hot weather could be ideal for his grueling workouts. He brought a Houston-based trainer along with him in order to make sure he did the best possible workouts, and he definitely worked out. Once a day wasn't enough for Harden. He did 2 a day. Heck, sometimes he did 3 a day. He treated it like a training camp, one that he had no idea how long it would last. He wanted to be ready for when the NBA resumed. He did yoga, plyometrics, and all kinds of advanced workouts to get his body transformed. He has always been criticized for looking a little pudgy. He's always worked hard, but he never quite had a ripped physique. His time in Phoenix changed that. Photos came out of a much slimmer looking Harden. He had lost the little extra he had. He was ripped. Once the NBA resumed, he showed off how great of a shape he was in. He averaged more than 31 points per game and dished out more than 8 assists to go with 6 rebounds. The Joker gets serious. Already one of the best centers in a guard-dominated league, Jokić had never concentrated on his body. He had always carried extra weight in order to help him take the physical toll of fighting in the paint. During the quarantine, he decided to shed the extra and showed up in the bubble noticeably thinner. Jokić began the season weighing a reportedly 284 pounds, and you can tell that especially on his upper body, he had a bit of fat. The Serbian killed it during quarantine. He said he lost 25 to 30 pounds during the hiatus. That's an astonishing amount in such a short amount of time. He was nearly unrecognizable when he showed up to the NBA bubble. He was a tall, crazy skinny guy who looked more like Kevin Durant than an NBA center. So much thinner that he looked like a completely different guy. And it paid off in the court too. Some were concerned he lost too much and his effectiveness on the court would take a hit. Jokić instead averaged what would be a career-high 22.5 points per game in 27 games in the bubble and still pulled down 8.7 rebounds. His improved play was a big reason why his Denver Nuggets was one of the most improved teams in the bubble. They made it all the way to the Western Conference Finals. An aging champion tries to lengthen his career. Marc Gasol has had a very good career. Playing most for the Memphis Grizzlies, Marc Gasol has made 3 All-Star teams, has won the Defensive Player of the Year award 1 time, and won an NBA championship with the Toronto Raptors. His career is winding down, however, at the age of 35. This was one of the reasons he transformed his body during the quarantine. The Spaniard dropped weight considerably in an effort to become more agile. A wise choice in today's fast-paced, perimeter-dominated NBA. There's no exact number of pounds lost. The exact number of pounds he has lost is unknown. He refused to put an exact number on it out of the 4 months off. Considering how drastically different he now looks, it definitely succeeded in that mission. His game isn't the same, at least not in a noticeable way. Some players transform their game given the time away. They use the time off to improve their abilities to such a big degree that they were like a different player in the bubble. Perhaps no player exemplifies this as much as the Indiana Pacers' T.J. Warren. The small forward has always been a pretty good player. He became a star in the bubble. Warren was taken 14th overall all the way back in the 2014 NBA draft by the Phoenix Suns. He quickly developed into a good bench scorer as he averaged double figures in his second season. He became a starter for the Suns in year 3, but despite the extra minutes, he plateaued a bit. He averaged between 14 and 19 points in the next 3 seasons, never taking the final step into stardom. After 5 seasons in Phoenix, Warren began his 6th season playing for the Pacers. He continued to be the same player he was in Phoenix. He was averaging 19 points before the hiatus due to COVID-19. When he arrived at the bubble, he quickly became a sensation. He was the biggest story in the first week. He went off in the very first game, scoring 53 points. He continued the scoring burst in the games he played. In the bubble, he finished with a 26.6 points per game average and had successfully announced he was an offense dynamo that will have to be dealt with the following season. Time away allows for healing. Michael Porter Jr. was the top recruit in his class coming out of high school. He was supposed to be in the running after the #1 overall pick the following year. However, a bad injury caused his value to plummet. He fell to number 14, and worse yet, he missed the entire first season with a back injury. He finally got to play the season considered his rookie season, but the rust was apparent. He was averaging just 9 points per game prior to the bubble. The 4 months away gave him time to fully heal and to work on his game. He had gotten a taste of what it was like in the NBA, and he was able to work to improve the areas of his game that needed to improve. In the bubble, Porter showed off the talent that made him the top recruit in his class. In the 7 regular seasons he played, he averaged 22 points and grabbed nearly 9 rebounds. Those are all-star numbers. His numbers took a dip in the playoffs, but he remained a key part of the Denver Nuggets as they made their run to the Western Conference Finals. He served the 6th-man role and did it well. He averaged 11 points and nearly 7 rebounds in the playoffs in less than 24 minutes per game. An unknown deserving mention. You probably still don't know who this last player is. It's not surprising if you don't. He didn't become a star in the bubble. He wasn't a lottery draft pick, and prior to the bubble, he didn't do much of note. However, he did transform his game drastically during the break. He worked to improve his 3-point shot, and all the work paid off. He went from someone capable of hitting a 3 occasionally to a knockdown shooter with a step back like James Harden. He went from averaging just 5 points and making less than 1 3 per game to averaging 13 points and becoming a major part of the Oklahoma City Thunder's rotation. He shot 46% from beyond the arc and made nearly 2.5 threes per game. Just 20 years old, Bazley may have stardom in his future after all.